All right, and here we are with LCK Now. I'm your host, Jonny eSports, here to talk about today's games on the LCK. That's League of Legends played in Korea. Even though Europe's on, I was still watching these games because, come on, let's be real here. LCK's top league in the world, so I'm talking about that. In these games, we had Afreeca Freecs versus Samsung Galaxy and ROX Tigers versus Kongdoo Monster. These were two great series. All of them went 3 games. Afreeca wins theirs, ROX wins theirs, and we're going to talk about that. Some storylines coming in. This is the introduction of Marin playing now back in the LCK. Kuro coming over from ROX Tigers to the mid lane to play here, and Spirit coming over from Fnatic to come play back here. So some impressive stuff were coming out of those 3 coming out of there, and then Kongdoo Monster is our first game of the season. We got to see what they were about, what they were doing. ROX Tigers we got to see them again and see that new roster and see how they are planning out after losing that first one. So without further delay, our first game, Afreeca Freecs, Samsung Galaxy. So again, Marin came into this game, obviously Marin before an SK Telecom T1, won Season 5 Worlds, was the MVP of that, was in my opinion, I kept talking about, hey, maybe Marin's the best player in the world, and maybe it's not Faker. Like, that's kind of how I felt about it. And then had a really poor showing in China, which is kind of like a typical thing that happens for whatever reason. Koreans going over to China is an experiment that keeps not working. Excuse me. So Marin comes back. He wants to come home. Obviously, Huni was already picked up by SKT, and there was on a spot there. Ends up finding his way to Afreeca Freecs, and this is an organization that decided to bring in a lot of really good pieces. Again, Spirit comes over from Fnatic, who had a pretty poor year over in Europe, and Kuro obviously on ROX Tigers, but we're having a good year. Able to go to Worlds and all that jazz. But the biggest question marks were Kramer and Tucson over on ADC and support, and it was a question of how that was going to work. And of course, Samsung Galaxy coming from their last game, they had won, and then now they were coming here to see if they can kind of continue the momentum, and Samsung Galaxy looked really, really good in the first game. So but the first game of this matchup here, we had Marin playing on Kennen, and it was actually an AD Kennen with pretty much every on-hit item you can have, Wits and Frozen Mallet, Runan's Hurricane, just applying as much on-hit stacks as possible and just pushing lanes. He goes 7-1-0 and actually totally dominates in this game, and it's super impressive. And it's like, okay, now AD Cannon's gonna become a thing in the top lane, and it's gonna be in your solo queue, and it's gonna be Cancer, and it's gonna be awful. What a weird freaking meta, but it worked out really, really well in this team, being the primary damage dealer. Obviously this team had a Cassiope on it, and it also had Varus on it for like some poke and some sustained damage from there. But like Marin did everything. Marin pushed a lot. He got 314 CS in 30 minutes, and they just rolled over and kind of won this game, and it was super impressive. So they tried again in game 2, but this time Galaxy kind of had a little bit more of an answer to it, and it really was the ability for Graves to come in and gank Marin on top lanes. In the first game, Ambition was playing Rek'Sai and wasn't able to get early gank pressure onto that onto that Kennen, and it was able to snowball and go kind of crazy. This game, they had an answer to it. Haru goes Graves at jungle and is able to come to the top lane and help out Kuve, who was playing Maokai in this game. He's played Maokai in the last game too, but it just led it to be a much easier game for Samsung Galaxy. And you also got to see Taliyah again. I'm starting to really like Taliyah more and more the more I'm seeing her on the Rift. Crown plays Taliyah and goes 4-2-3. Not a crazy impressive score, but did have a lot of map pressure and did a lot of things for the team that made it really awesome. Ruler on Ashe goes 3-0-6, hits almost every arrow of this game, so you pretty much just win games when you do that. We saw the Ziggs bot lane coming out of Kramer. Tucson played the MF support. And it's just like this funny meme where it's like now the AD carries are becoming the supports and the mages are becoming the AD AP carries, whatever. It's weird, whatever. It doesn't quite work out for them. One way you can kind of find seeing that being countered, and you see that in the next game too with ROX versus Kongdoo Monster, is that basically if you don't let Ziggs get to the tower it doesn't win. So you just have to kill him. like if he can't get to the tower, it won't kill everything. But it still was dangerous, and it was still always a constant threat in this game. And Marin once again on that Kennen, it got behind early and just this was never there. And taking over this game was Samsung Galaxy. So moving on to the last game, Kuve picks up Kennen before the Afreeca Freecs hand, so we don't see Rumble playing, or sorry, we don't see Marin playing that again. And he does an AP Kennen, a more standard build, so Marin goes to his signature Rumble, and pretty much is pretty dominant there. I really like Afreeca Freecs team comp in this one. Spirit is sitting on Olaf. We have Orianna in the mid lane and Varus for that poke in the bot lane, and Tucson playing that Malzahar, which is really one of these top tier supports right now as they banned out Zyra. And I think one of the biggest mistakes Samsung Galaxy actually made in this game was in pick ban phase, where they ended up going Taric support, and that was kind of a last pick support, and it was super ineffective through the entire game. I really think this is a meta that, like, range supports are everything. Mange damage, dude, you got a lot of damage out of your supports because they got to start killing things. That's why the Zyras and the Malzahars are even MFs are in there. The MF being just the counter to those two, but it's just rough. They don't go the MF support this time around. And I think honestly kind of punished for it. I know this team otherwise didn't have a tank because they went the Kennen pick on the top lane, because they had Lee Sin in jungle. So I guess they felt like they needed someone to be a little more tanky for the later phases of the game. But I really think they screwed that up a bit. Maybe they should just went someone tankier top lane. Maybe again went back to the Maokai. Although they bound it themselves, or potentially like a tankier jungle. But I feel like they made mistakes in the pick ban phase, which led to a close game that was like they actually had gold leads. At one point at 50 minutes, they had a 1.8k gold lead, and this was kind of a little bit more of a back and forth affair, whereas the other two games were kind of stomps either way. But I think just what caught up to them was just a much better pick ban phase by the Afreeca Freecs. And they go on to win this one, 2-1. So that's enough for that game. ROX Tigers versus Kongdoo Monster. We saw ROX Tigers before. They had lost that game. This is Kongdoo Monster's first matchup of the season. So it's an interesting one because I feel like these teams are going to be sitting near each other in the standings. So this is probably a pretty important game for both of them. In the first game, Kongdoo Monster actually looks super strong, and you get to see more of that top lane Singed at work. It just proxied lanes, and it did everything you need to. Soul actually on the Jhin goes 6-0-6 and looks extremely godlike. Sangyun playing that AP bot lane in Ziggs and Zyra, that was a really good lane, but again, the Jhin and Misfortune there just killed them more. So they weren't able to really do that, do as much, or at least zone them off away from the tower, because like that Ziggs only died twice this game, but they just were able to force them off being able to fight there. And Soul really goes off in this game. It was really MVP. I'm not sure who. Actually, don't. I keep meaning to keep note on who got MVP of this game, but I'm pretty sure Soul did, and if he didn't, he deserved it. He was pretty much a monster in the first game on Jhin. And then in the second game, it kind of went the other way in terms of just like maps being played properly. And I felt like neither team wanted to go for that Ziggs thing, and they went kind of for more standard bot lanes. Both went support picks of Tom Kench over to Kongdoo Monster, and Thresh over to ROX Tigers there. And kind of the big problem in this game was the Kha'Zix kind of went off, and Lee Sin wasn't really a super great answer to it. You saw a lot of times them trying to pull off the Insec, and it being kind of very not predictable, but like just like they didn't let them do it, despite having kind of a mobile targets. Like you have the Ashe, who you normally want to get into that, and Cassiopeia wouldn't be that hard to get into that. But it was just like ineffective. And even though I really like their draft, they have Nautilus in the top lane, which maybe that should have been Poppy or something, but like that's okay. You have Lee Sin trying to get those picks, and Rise in the mid lane just eventually trying to machine gun people. But you saw a really great performance out of Sangwon playing Kha'Zix. He goes 5-0-11 and kind of really dominates this game. Everything kind of flips over after a 14-minute mark when a successful gank onto Rise in the mid lane there. Takes the tower, and they kind of just snowball over there and win. And then in our last game here, you saw a matchup where Kongdoo Monster continues to kind of like make mistakes that make them lose the game, and it's really unfortunate because I feel like they played really strong, and I think this ROX Tigers team showed a little bit more of who they really are, and you know, obviously the big question for ROX Tigers is like, are they going to be able to answer that old lineup? And I don't think they will. They're not going to be I don't think they're going to be flirting with the championship lineup at least this year. But you saw Mickey on this game go 11-3-13 on that Rise and play super strong, kind of doing what Kongdoo probably wanted to do with Rise in that first game, or in the last game rather, but he's able to do it very, very well. Sangyun goes 14-2-10 on the Jin as well in this game, and it was just kind of like a game that I actually felt was in the hands of Kongdoo Monster, but they just kind of like let it slip in a big team fight where Jin got 2 kills and they were able to take a tower at about the 22-minute mark. There was just like kind of an overwhelming power from that afterwards by ROX Tigers leaning in and putting on a lot of pressure. But again, Kongdoo plays a good pick. They have that Singed pick, which has been super dominant in the top lane, and it was doing the things that Singed is supposed to do to apply a lot of pressure and apply that to the lanes. But it's just like it wasn't enough in this game, and it ends up being Kongdoo Monster facing the first loss in their first game of the season. So those were the games today on LCK. If you enjoyed the show, please like and subscribe to this. Like this video and subscribe to this channel. You can also follow all the social media things down there. Facebook will have all the content. Twitter is a little bit more of a free-for-all. I just tweet things when I feel like it, so go for it. Also check out AYB TV on Tuesdays. I normally stream there live, just some gaming. Usually Troll Tuesdays. I just do fun things. And you can check out Into the League. Oh, that way. You can check out Into the League as well, and it's a fun show. It's, you know, people playing League. It's good stuff. All right, that is it. I'll see you next time. Next week, I believe we have, or next week, sorry, tomorrow we have Saturday. Tomorrow's day off for LCK. Woo. Saturday, we're going to be doing BBQ Olivers and KT Rolster. BBQ Olivers obviously looking very good in the first game, and KT Rolster, obviously that superstar lineup that could be very strong. I'm actually very interested in that matchup. I'd like to see what Tempt can do against a top-tier mid laner. And then Longshoot Gaming versus Engineer Greenwing should be another good one. These are two pretty strong organizations, so that'll be Saturday, so I guess I get the break tomorrow. Maybe I'll watch NALCS, whatever. And then we'll go from that. People are talking about wanting me to do an LCS now. Obviously, Europe was playing today. And I don't know if I'll do EU. I might do NA. But it's a lot of work, to be honest. So we'll see if we can do both. But in the meantime, we're going to continue with LCK Nows and go from there. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you later.